Hi everyone, thank you for being here today. I wanted to talk about something that feels deeply personal but also universal. It is something that many women experience but rarely put into words. The topic is the curse of being an average looking woman. I know the word curse might sound dramatic, however, if you have ever felt invisible, inadequate, or judged because you do not fit society's beauty standards, you will understand what I mean. This is not just about looks. It is about how we are made to feel and the stories we tell ourselves because of those feelings. We live in a world that puts an enormous amount of pressure on women to look a certain way. From the time we are young, we are bombarded with images of beauty that seem impossible to achieve. Flawless skin, perfect hair, toned bodies. It is like the world decided on this narrow definition of what is beautiful. If you do not fit into it, you are considered average. But let's take a moment to think about this. Who decided what is beautiful? These standards are manufactured by industries that profit off our insecurities. Beauty brands, cosmetic companies, and social media algorithms all feed into this narrative that we are not enough unless we look like the models on billboards or influencers in our feeds. It is exhausting. For women who do not fit those standards, women who are called plain or average, it can feel like the world does not see us. We are just there, blending into the background while the spotlight shines on others. What is even harder to deal with is how we start believing these messages. We internalize the idea that our worth is tied to our looks. Every time we scroll through social media, we see curated perfection. Smooth skin, perfect lighting, and bodies that seem too good to be true. And you know what? Most of the time, they are too good to be true. Filters, Photoshop, and surgery make so much of what we see unreal. But knowing that does not always help, does it? We still compare ourselves. We still look in the mirror and think, if only I were prettier, maybe I would be more confident. Maybe people would notice me more. Maybe I would be happier. It is such a heavy burden to carry, this constant feeling of not being enough. The saddest part is that it distracts us from appreciating everything else about ourselves, our talents, our kindness, and our intelligence, which are the things that matter so much more than how we look. Let us talk about dating for a moment because this is where being average looking can feel especially tough. There is this unspoken rule in the dating world: women are judged on their looks first and everything else comes later. If you are conventionally attractive, people seem more willing to approach you, get to know you, and give you the benefit of doubt. But when you are not, it can feel like you have to work twice as hard to prove your worth. I have heard stories, and maybe you have too, of women being told that they are not someone you show off or not attractive enough to date seriously. Can you imagine how damaging that is? To feel like your value as a partner is reduced to how you look? But here's the thing: those people are not worth your time. Love and connection are not about appearances, they are about who you are at your core. The right person will see that. Now, let us shift gears to the professional world because the bias does not stop with relationships. There is something called pretty privilege, and it is very real. Studies show that people who are conventionally attractive are often perceived as more competent, more likable, and even more trustworthy. Think about job interviews. If two equally qualified candidates walk in and one is conventionally attractive while the other is average looking, who do you think gets the benefit of doubt? It is frustrating because your skills, your work ethic, and your intelligence should be the things that matter. But in reality, we live in a world where appearances often overshadow substance. For average looking women, it can feel like you are constantly being underestimated or underlooked. So, what do we do about all of this? How do we navigate a world that puts so much emphasis on looks? The answer is not easy, but it starts with redefining our own self worth. We have to remind ourselves that beauty is just one part of who we are. Honestly, it is not even the most important part. Think about the people you admire the most. Is it their appearance that inspires you, or is it their kindness, their strength, and their creativity? For me, it's always the latter. Beauty fades, trends change, but the person you are, the values you hold, and the way you treat others, that is what lasts. And can we just call out the double standards here? Average looking men do not face nearly the same level of scrutiny. Their achievements, their personalities, and their talents are allowed to take center stage. But for women, it feels like looks are always the first thing people notice, and sometimes the only thing they care about. It is not fair and it is not okay, but the more we talk about it, the more we can change these outdated norms. Here is the truth: beauty is not one size fits all. What is considered average or plain to one person might be absolutely stunning to someone else. And even if the world does not always acknowledge it, every single one of us has something unique and beautiful about us. It could be the way you light up when you talk about something you love, or the way you make people feel seen and heard. Those things are beautiful. They matter. They last so much longer than physical appearances. So, if you have ever felt like you are just average, like you do not stand out, I hope this reminds you that you are so much more than what society sees on the surface. You have depth, you have value, and you have beauty in your own unique way. Thank you for listening to my thoughts today. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear your story in the comments. Let us remind each other that being average looking does not make any of us less extraordinary. Take care, and I will see you the next time.